My name is Paul Bittinger. I'm the medical director for emergency preparedness at Massachusetts General Hospital and an emergency physician. So I think there are different ways to define trauma systems. The American College of Surgeons has definitions that it uses for trauma center verification, and ultimately each state Department of Public Health is in charge of determining what it considers to be an appropriate trauma center for receiving trauma victims. So there are different definitions out there, but I think the important factor is that it's a trained group of physicians, emergency physicians and surgeons, and all the supporting systems that come along with trauma systems, such as anesthesiology and operative capability that can be turned on at a moment's notice, all the other surgical subspecialties that support trauma, such as neurosurgery, orthopedics, urology, lots and lots of specialists, and then of course appropriate ICU care capabilities as well. When you look at the American College of Surgeons trauma programs, they really emphasize a broad spectrum of looking at the continuity of care across trauma. So that a trauma center reaches out to its EMS systems for pre-hospital care, works with them, that they work with their rehab systems so that patients in the post-acute hospital phase get good care, and really, trauma systems, trauma centers look across the entire spectrum of care so that from the moment of injury till the moment of rehabilitation completion, patients have the best chance at survival and getting back to normal. So we have 5 hospitals that are verified as trauma centers on the adult side, and 3, I believe, that are verified as pediatric centers here in the city of Boston. The city of Boston has a population of about 600,000, and the metropolitan area is approximately 2 million. Yeah, we try to really prepare for as much as we can that we think is a reasonable threat. Every year the hospital performs something called a hazard vulnerability analysis, which is a structured way of looking at what problems we think can happen in the community, what types of events we might be asked to respond to. And that's everything from a localized foodborne illness outbreak or infectious disease outbreak to something much bigger like a pandemic or novel infectious disease outbreak that sweeps through the community. We do look at mass casualty events from this size and even larger. Mass General is right next to the Esplanade, which is where the 4th of July celebration is held. We just learned this morning that potentially the bombers were thinking of targeting the 4th of July celebration, which really could have been so much worse given that there are almost 500,000 people that go to that celebration every single year. We look at chemical threats, radiologic threats, possibly from a dirty bomb. We have a robust hazardous materials response capability here at this hospital. Part of what we do is the buzzword is all hazards. We try and plan for everything we think is realistically possible. So the city has thankfully quite robust plans to do decontamination at the scene, and they also actively survey for hazards. One of the things that was very helpful was early on in this incident, we knew from the city that they did not detect any radiological or chemical hazards at the scene. At our own hospital, though, we know from previous events, from the data about disasters, that we will get patients that are not decontaminated if there's a hazardous materials threat. So we have a tent that we blow up ourselves that can do decontamination. We have a team of more than 90 people in the hospital that are trained to do decontamination and wear the gear, and we have a cache of a large amount of personal protective equipment that is appropriate for essentially all of the major chemical hazards. Certainly it's protective against radiological and biological hazards as well. And we can do decontamination. We test these processes quite regularly. We think that we can decontaminate somewhere probably more than about 150 patients per hour if we have to. We do hope that we never have to use this system, but we also hoped that we never would have to use our mass casualty response. And it's obviously much, much better to be prepared than to just hope that it's going to be unlikely.